Yo guys, what up? Me Patrick. In this video, I'm going to basically show you some key tips to help you get better exposure. Shots going from like this to like this. Alright guys, so I'm basically here, I want to show you a tip to help you really expose your videos better. Again, it's just to get that cinematic look, you really need to focus on light. For example, I'm using MC Pro right here and I've got it set up in just auto mode. It's basically got its own ISO setting. It went to 313 with the shutter speed of 1/100. This is auto, okay? And then if anything, I'm using on my profile here, I do have manual color balance on, so we can change that to, let me even set that to auto. Hang on, let's go full auto, everything auto. Okay, there, boom. So now we're on full auto, everything is at auto. Now you can see here on the top of the image, it's a little bit blown out here. Blown out means we don't see the data anymore, it's just pure white. Now, this could work, this is great, but what I would do to step it up another level to really try to get, so it doesn't look like it's shot on a cell phone. Again, I preach this so much, manual control. I'll jump into manual control, and then even in the manual control, it's got the ISO set to 600. Again, the ISO, which is right here at the top, this ISO, this is the same settings that you also have in Filmmaking Pro. I'm using MC Pro, but it's the same in Filmmaking Pro. This ISO, basically, I like to keep it as low as possible depending on the shot. Down here is our shutter speed. So here, shutter speed, basically, if you want to film at basically 24 frames or 25 frames, wherever you're at, this needs to be at half. So 24 frames, half will be 50. As close as I can get is 48. So I can set that to 48. That's so you can get that nice, see, motion blur here. See that motion blur happening? If I crank this up, now also I'm exposing, you see how now look at everything looks nice here, but now look at, you see less motion blur. If I go even more, less motion blur, right? So if you want that motion blur, that cinematic motion blur, you want to keep that at half, but I tweak this depending on the lighting. Now, okay, how would I expose this shot here? See, super thin blown. The first thing I would do is attack my ISO. I'll bring this all the way down to as low as possible. There, which is my lowest is 56. And then now even here, we can still see it's a little bit blown out. We're still losing some data. So I could even take down, I can crank up my shutter speed and go up one. Now, clearly you can see we're not gonna get it all because I'm not using an ND filter, which I'll show you in a minute. But this is basically better. This is what we have here in manual compared if we went back to auto. In auto, it just tweaked it just a little bit, but we still lost a little bit of data up there. Auto wasn't too bad, but then back to manual. Again, manual, I took it down even there. Now, if I click this button here, this brings up this scale here of basically intensity and stuff. What you want to avoid is that red and orange, possibly. Red and orange is that you want. The happy medium is gray. Gray is where you really want things to be, and you don't want to be things on dark navy purple or this dark color blue here. You don't want that. That means it's underexposed. So again, my main focal area was here, and it is kind of exposed low, right? You can see here it's kind of that dark blue and a little bit of aqua blue. We kind of want this to be a little bit probably more in the purple, dark gray, green area. So what I could do is just crank up my ISO. Okay, oh, okay, there we go. Now we got this area in that zone, that darkish gray purple zone. But then now you see up here, we're blowing stuff out. It's gonna be a happy medium. You gotta have to figure out how much are you gonna withstand to get our main area in focus. So if we turn that off, so this is what we can see now. Again, here it's really super blown out. Now the way you can try to avoid that is just by getting your angle where you're not getting so much of this background window here. You know, I could probably just turn this a little bit, let's say like that, but then I'm bringing in the other window. So again, it's kind of like for the shot that I'm doing here, we kind of have to either deal with it. You're either going to have this nice where you want it and that overblown, or opposite where I can crank down and then this will be dark. Now, if I take an ND filter, I got my Moment ND filter. I'm going to slap that on. It's in the minimal position, and let's see what we get. All right, that's with the ND filter on, and it knocked it down just a little bit there, but it also made this area a little bit darker. Again, so let me see if I go back to 48. Here's back to 48. It's kind of like we're right back where we were. So it's like a happy medium of where you want to be. do you want to be accepting and just accept this, or do you want to be a little bit more darker? And our subject here is a little bit more darker. I prefer to lean towards the darker side because it just really sets my footage away from looking like it was shot on a cell phone. I can deal with that. I can still see some detail in there. I can see some shadows. I can deal with that. And that will be my happy medium zone. That's how I would expose for a shot like this. Now, what you also could do, again, we could just take our ISO back down as low as possible, right? We could just bring in a light. So what I'm gonna do is just bring in a light here and turn this on. Okay, let's scroll through these colors here. Let me just find a nice bright daylight. Okay, so I could bring in a light. Now you see we're getting that little bit of that reflection on there, but I could bring in a light. Just bring it in. So here's a light. I'm going to bring it just over the top of this. Boom. And that's the difference now with the light. Super fantastic. Now my area is exposed. We got those highlights out of there as minimal as possible. So just adding a little bit of light to the subject really changed everything. And now we can get a really nice cinematic look. Again, lighting is important. That's why it's so important to pay attention to your lighting. Doesn't matter if you're using a stock app or if you're using Filmmaking Pro or something, lighting is what really sets your footage off. Also been using this little wand light here, which is fairly pretty cool. The USKEY Vision, they subbed this out to me, and I thought I'll give it a try. One thing that caught my eye was that the fact that it's USB, so it can be portable, right? And that's key for me, you know, with the mobile, and I'm always mobile. It's got, you know, here it is, you can turn the lights on here. One thing it's nice that it does have the 3200, 4500, and 5600 Kelvin right there, boom, which is super nice, you know, because we get our daylight, warm light, and our sunlight color. Then it does some other colors, RGB, red, green, and blue, and then it mixes them to make like a green, a fuchsia purple, aqua blue, and it's got this police strobe light. Sorry if anybody was strobe sensitive on that. It's got this strobe light and it's got a couple other party modes where the lights are also flickering, but I like it just for the fact that I can adjust here. If I hold down this minus button, boom, 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 it adjusts down just to a nice little glow there. And if I go ahead and crank it back up, hold it up, all the way up. Super fantastic. I really enjoy this because of the fact, again, that it's portable, guys. That is key for me. And again, it's USB chargeable. It comes with the cable and this little holder, which I don't really use too much, and it also comes with the remote. Super fantastic. That's what I've been using to help me demonstrate these exposure techniques here. I've been using this for the light. So I'll have the link down in the description if you guys are interested in this. All right, guys, so here's a quick another shot. I've got it set up here, and we got that natural sunlight coming in from the back window here, and you can see it is a little underexposed. But what is nice, if I take this light here, the wand light, and I can just basically put it above at a slight angle here. Look how much natural that, look at that. I mean, that just looks good. That looks awesome. Just this little bit of extra light added in makes a big difference. Again, no light with the light, super big difference. Now what I can also do, if I'll put the light here in its daylight blue mode quickly here. Here's the daylight. Now what I do, since I have a light source coming from the back here, the sunlight, I can help it a little bit, and then even put the wand light behind it. If I wanted just to add some more of that, I'll put it up and above, up behind it, and now we can even see the difference it's making. Even moving that around here, check it out. If I move that around there, this makes sense because we know that there is light coming from back over here. We know there is light coming from here. So I have the light hanging up and above it. Now if I take it and take the light away, that's the difference. If I bring that light back, that's the difference. Just a little bit of lighting adds just so much more, guys. It's just, and even bring it in closer. How about bringing it all the way closer to us, just off the screen here. There it is, and I'll lift it up just off screen, and that's what it looks like with the light, without the light, with the light. Just a little bit of light there.